Does true crime keep you awake at night? Do you find yourself watching video after video, questioning your safety? Well, now, you don't have to leave a light on anymore. Join us as we unravel chilling mysteries.
What is up, everybody? Can you hear me? All right. How is everyone doing today? I hope you can hear me. And yes, this is Jay with Guilty of Crime. Today, I am guilty of crime. I'm guilty of spoiling my daughter. So, if y'all are with me, hit the like button. Let's get some support. We're donating our time today for Lauren Dumolo, who's been missing for over 4 years. And thank you, Wednesday, Ophelia. I'll say hi to everybody. Glad you can hear me. Sweetie, what's up? Yeah, hit the like button. We're coming in hard today. We got the background for, in my mind, Florida. We're looking for Lauren Dumolo, and we're on part 6 today. Where in the world is Lauren Dumolo? Thank you for hitting the like. We're guilty of crime in the dark. So let's get into it today. Thank you, Wendy. And thank you, everybody, for being here. Bree, Carly, Judy, Patty Mason. Maybe we'll see JoJo, Wolfpack. All right. So even if you, and what's up, Rebecca Wyman? Good to see you. Hearts. Today was a day. All right. But I could have it be a day because my daughter is just overspoiled. She's not missing like Lauren. So, of course, once a week we come and we're going to do this. I think it's going to be an 11-part series. We're on part 6 today. So even if you haven't watched any of them, we can come in with the intro and talk about Lauren. So, we bring this to life. Today we're on episode 6. It's called 2.5 Weeks. Paul might pop on. I think he probably will. So we're going to start with this episode of a private investigator weighing in on Lauren's case. And, this is the very beginning of it. We're going back. What's up? No one. Hey. Live Wade. Love the background today. Thank you. Today we're guilty of crime in the dark because Lauren Dumolo is missing. And we still don't know why. And when we don't know why, well, this case is personal. It's not that it bothers me. It bothers me, but it's also personal because we have Paul Dumolo, who's missing a daughter. So a lot of times when we watch these shows, we're not attached to them in a way where we know somebody. And when you know somebody that's missing a child and doesn't have any semblance of closure, you want to help them. And that's what we're doing here. So thank you all for being here. What's up, Bethany Weaver and Graciela Gonzalez? Thank you all. Hopefully I can give some memberships today. If it's not all lit up in green, I appreciate you. I know a lot of people are on other cases that are newer, and sometimes people don't want to look at older cases, but Lauren was a very pretty girl, and she has a family that cares about her, and we believe that she's no longer with us, but we still want to bring her home. So let's hear what the private investigator has to say, and then I'll show you a clip of them, the family, and then we'll get into it.
Coral woman, family, friends, even volunteers are searching near Four Freedoms Park a few times a week, and they found some evidence to help police. But Fox 4's Rachel Lloyd's learning that those clues are leading to more questions than answers. Rachel?
Southwest Florida Crime Stoppers say they haven't gotten many tips in this case, and a private investigator I spoke with, not related to the case, says the clues that they do have are questionable. 29-year-old Lauren Dumolo was last seen June 19th. Earlier this week, community members searched for her around Four Freedoms Park, about half a mile away from her Cape Coral home where she was last seen. Her purse was found at the park the day she
Purse was found at the park, her cell phone was found at home, and her fiance / boyfriend didn't want to call it in. Didn't want to call in that she was missing, and he only did because Paul Dumolo made him. All right? Not a good sign. And as we get into these episodes, we're in part 6, you're going to see that with all the twists and turns, you're going to say, well, maybe it wasn't the boyfriend. Maybe it was the boyfriend, the guy that worked with the boyfriend. And then you think maybe it was the neighbor. And then we're kind of, there's a lot of things going on. I feel like the police dropped the ball on this. So behind the scenes, we're still trying to get into the cold case files. I'm sorry you had a commercial. I should probably turn that off for you. I wish everybody had YouTube Premium. But hello. So Lauren's been missing 4 years, over 4 years now, a little bit over. And no woman is going to leave her phone at home and her purse at the park. Later, they found a t-shirt perfectly folded or laying down, very staged at the park. Today, we're going to get into Four Freedoms Park, and you're going to see what Four Freedoms Park is. You're going to see you're going to see the actual what happened. She got Baker acted. Lauren also jumped into the water. Oh, and you'll see the water, or I don't even know what that is, what you call that, Bimini something or other. If you're from the area, you'd know it. Bimini Basin. It's the body of water at Four Freedoms Park that Lauren jumped into and started swimming because she thought someone was after her, folks. When you see this water, you're going to be like, what in the heck? And what's up, Carrie? So, thank you. We want justice for Lauren. Absolutely. And I'm just kind of like waiting for people to roll in as when people come in and then they say, oh, I don't remember this. I want you to remember Lauren and hashtag bring Lauren home.
She went missing and her cell phone located at her apartment. But it wasn't until last week when her sister found a shirt that belongs to her in the sand at Four Freedoms.
That area was thoroughly searched days before, and the shirt just turns up right there on the sand.
That clue perplexes private investigator Walt Zalisco, questioning whether or not the shirt was planted and the crime scene is actually somewhere else. Planted or not, he says the detectives on this case have a lot to work with.
What they have to look at the shirt to see if there was any tears. Was it forcefully removed from her?
Or was there blood on it? Cape Coral Police says divers have searched for Dumolo in the water near the park, not yielding much more evidence. And Trish Route with Southwest Florida Crime Stoppers says they haven't received a lot of tips on her disappearance either.
But that doesn't mean that the information's not out there, because it absolutely is.
Someone from Marco Island has donated an extra $5,000 to help find Dumolo, bringing the reward to up to $8,000.
If you've seen her, if you've heard from her, if you know anything about what could have happened to Lauren, we absolutely, positively need to hear from you now.
And the next community search for Lauren is scheduled for Saturday on Coronado Parkway in Cape Coral. Rachel Lloyd, Fox 4 in your corner.
Thanks, Rachel. So if you've seen Lauren Dumolo within the last month, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers again. And she has a large tattoo, the word namaste, on one of her sides. Family and friends say that she does not have a car. So you may have seen her walking in Southeast Cape Coral.
All right. And the reason they say that, I'm going to bring that picture up in a second, or just show you a quick video of what she jumped into, saying that she was getting away from somebody, but we don't know what that somebody or who that somebody is. I don't even want to say what that somebody is, because there are some theories that I would not want to talk about. Stella, I love questions. This is a question not related to the subject, but I'm curious. Do mods work for Jay? YouTube, are they bots? I'm sorry if I sound ignorant, but I really don't know. Now, Stella, my lovely moderators at this time, they donate their time to Guilty of Crime. And when we hit 20,000, which is why I want to get everyone like, subscribe, comment on everything you see. Doesn't matter if you tell me what you had for breakfast on my videos. When we hit 20,000, I'm going to set up a buy me a coffee for the mods. And channels like Grizzly True Crime that have 300,000 subscribers, they get money for the mods and they split it up quarterly. So right now, these beautiful ladies donate their time to Guilty of Crime. They're definitely not bots. They absolutely help me. Carly says she doesn't need money. It's a hobby. And Carly's my girl. Carly's my friend. She's definitely not a bot. And Bree, same thing. My friend, we talk a few times a day. Same with Petty Mason. We're becoming friends now. Wolfpack and JoJo. All these ladies are wonderful. So thank them. And Allison says Grizzly brought me to Strategic and he brought me to Jay. Yes. So no bots here. These are amazing ladies that all help me in separate ways. So thank you all. And we love Melly. Melly's a mod for many channels. She's certainly not a bot. Let me show you the water a little bit. I want you to, today we're going to talk about the Lauren getting Baker acted. They thought Baker acted means they think she's crazy and they committed her. I guess, as a 72-hour hold. Love you, MM. And yeah, they thought she was crazy. I don't know what she told them, if she saw aliens or what, but she did. And MM Clark, I'll tell you about Davy Jones sometimes. He's still around. He's just in another country doing some other things. So we have all ladies here. Jamie, I saw you on Grizzly True Crime today. Thank you. Thank you. Purple looks good. All right. Melly, I thought you were a mod. Melly is a mod. She's just not a mod for me. But we do have love, lots of love around Guilty of Crime. Now, Lauren Dumolo is a project that I took on, and this project is to help open this case. Well, it's not closed, but to bring it back to life. And this, we're doing Complicit's podcast, and we're bringing it back to life. Let's take a look at like the body of Bimini Basin and what Lauren jumped into and tried to swim across, which is absolutely insane. And I can see why someone would say, let's Baker act her. And then I'm going to show you some pictures of her and we'll keep getting into this crazy story. And it's not a story yet. It's real life. We don't need the sound. I'm just going to kind of show you as I interact. And thank you all for being here. You guys are helping my algorithm go up, and not just the algorithm. We want that so we can have people reaching out to me and saying, hey, can you help me find my daughter? Hey, my cousin got assaulted and she'd like to talk. Hey, I was assaulted and I'd like to talk to your audience. So we're here and we exist for you. We exist for you, to help you. I came to true crime with a purpose. It's not for the numbers. It's not to be, I'm not trying to throw shade, but T-Rev, if you guys know who that is coming back on today, supposedly. Now, no shade thrown, but T-Rev is coming on. And one of my big cases that you probably know me from is Madeline Soto. And he's accused of faking a call with a chomo about Madeline Soto. Now, I take that personally because Madeline Soto was brutally assaulted for years and then her life was taken. I take that to heart. Madeline Soto. I dream about Madeline Soto. I think about Madeline Soto and I want justice for Madeline Soto. So when content creators do stuff like that to make money, that's not me. You're never going to see that. So thank you all for being here. We are here. Yeah, and thank you. I'm not throwing shade. There's whole channels throwing shade. I will say he hasn't vetted his callers before. Y'all, I'm not going to throw shade, but I do take it personally if that's true, because I am held accountable for everything I say about Madeline Soto in that case. I hold myself accountable, and I'm held accountable by the advocate. Thank you, Carrie. They're going to the Gulf of Mexico and the canal that leads to Bimini Basin. I'm just showing you where Lauren, whereabouts she was in Cape Coral, her jumping into the water, etc. What is up, Adam? What up? What up, my man? All right. So that's nobody right here. This is just, we're just showing you we're covering Lauren Dumolo and we're showing you the water where she jumped into to get away from somebody and was Baker acted. All right, Paul, I forgot to send you a link. I'm sorry. I will send you that now, and then we'll get into it. Thank you for, I completely spaced out. How do I send you one now? Okay, here it is. Let me invite you. All right. I'm going to play a video real quick of Lauren's family. This is the water she jumped into. You can see Bimini Basin and where she tried to absolutely swim across, which is insane. So Papa Paul is going to come on. That's Paul Dumolo, her dad, in a minute. I'm going to play this video for you of friends and family of Lauren at the 2-year mark, remembering her and missing her. And I want it to be personal for you because I want this to be out there, and I want this to get out of the cold case files and get back to life. All right, here we go. Let's remember Lauren while I email Paul. I can't do it this way. Sorry about that. 1 second. 1 second, folks. Technical difficulties. My daughter did start 4th grade today, and she gave me a run for my money. I would lie if I told you, oh, it's so cute. She started 4th grade, and it was the best. I got the best pictures, and it was amazing. No, she didn't want to go to school today, and I'm a sucker for her. So she went to school, but if you want to hear the rest of my story, stay here.
It might have been a wet Saturday at Four Freedoms Park in Cape Coral, but not even that rain could wash out the fire that has burned in Lindsay Smith's heart for 2 years. She's determined to bring her sister Lauren home.
I definitely don't want this to just be brushed under the rug, that we're never going to find her. Like, there needs to be some closure to this family. Closure that she's hoping will come by keeping Lauren's name and face front and center. Lauren was last seen in June of 2020 at her apartment in Cape Coral. And in the 2 years since, law enforcement has spent hours searching for her, receiving countless leads that would turn into setbacks, including one back in October when law enforcement thought they identified Lauren's remains. We found out that they weren't her remains, and now we are just stuck back at square one. The quest for closure is guided by good hands, like those of Joe Fanchuli, a retired homicide director who's now the investigating director with Missing in America. Lauren's family reaching out to him to help with the search.
We have a few areas here that we've recommended searching and a few that we've searched ourselves. So we just continue to push on.
And as they gathered at Four Freedoms Park, a place that Lauren loved to visit, wearing pink to honor her with her favorite color. It's 2 years to the day that Lauren had her last known phone call with her sister Cassie, who says that fire for closure is burning just as bright.
My goal is to just make Lauren's name a household name. I want everyone to know who Lauren Dumolo is.
In Cape Coral, Keenan Scott, Fox 4.
All right. Dedication is the only thing that will get this back up and going. And I must say we're doing quite well when I see numbers in the thousands where people are watching my video. I'm a small channel. And I look at the Complicit podcast that we're running, and some of them only have 62 views on YouTube, and I'm in the thousands per episode. So I'm very blessed to be here bringing Lauren's story to life. Now, the Complicit podcast people, Hillary and I can't remember her name right now, gave me their blessing to use it. They worked very hard. They won awards on it, and we're bringing it to life. Yes, I do spoil her. You're absolutely right. She cried this morning, so I can't share school pictures except for with my mods. Thank you, Stella. Thank you. Just know that Guilty of Crime exists to help you. And you and you and you and you and Paul and people like that. If I don't have something to drive me or a purpose, then I have no reason to be here. I'm done. So I exist because people need help. All right. So I'm going to show you a few pictures. We'll get into the story. I don't know when Paul's going to pop on, but as I'm showing you the pictures, I'm telling you the story at the same time. I'm also happy that you guys like my intro and the background in the Guilty of Crime in the Dark series, because it has been Guilty of Crime in the Dark the whole time for Lauren Dumolo, because we are in the dark. All right. So here's some pics of Lauren currently. Actually, I'll just run through them. You'll be able to see the canal that I was just showing you. I know it's a little confusing when you don't know the story and you're like, what the heck are you talking about, Jay? And I'll take Jay for president. I'll take that, and I'll pick one of you as a VP. I just want somebody that's amazing and that has a heart. Has a heart. That's what I want. A crime to remember. You should see my daughter graduation. You should see my son's graduation pictures. Handsome guy. My son is going to be 25. My daughter's going to be 10. Absolutely insane, folks. She gave me a run for my money today. Thank you, Kristen, and thank you for supporting my channel by being here. If you have nothing to donate, the only thing that you need is to hit the like button, share it, comment when we're done. That's what you all can do for me. And of course, we want to find Lauren and bring her home to Paul. All right, so there's the canal. I'm just going to quickly go through the pictures here. And while we go through the pictures, I'm also going to say it's never off my mind. Hashtag arrest Jen Soto. I do have another episode I want to do. And some of you may have seen Duty Ron talking about prison justice for Stephen Stearns, and he hasn't even got there yet. So, all right, let's look at this. Lauren jumped in to get away from somebody or something and got Baker acted. That is the Four Freedoms Park where she went supposedly missing. Now, Paul, I sent you the link by email. So if you're listening, go to your email. I don't think I can send it on my phone. All right. So she lived about half a mile from here, Lauren. She'd come here and she would meditate. She'd meditate very regularly. You can see the benches out there and you can see the benches and the boats. So this is Four Freedoms Park. Thank you, Carrie, for sending me the pictures. Trying to send Paul a link and talk at the same time. And this is why my background is got the palm trees, because I am not from Florida. I'm from California, but I wanted to make sure I gave you that vibe. All right, let me see if I'll text you the link, Paul. I'm doing my best here, multitasking. All right, let's get to the pictures real quick, and then we're going to start on the series. We're going to continue to episode 6. So there it is again. You can see there's places to sit, places to meditate. Beautiful place. Not a place to go missing. All right. Now, this is a Baker Act flow chart. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Paul, hold on. I did not hear Paul come in. Interesting. All right. Didn't hear you come in, Paul. Baker acted. She was involuntarily Baker acted. I'm not going to go into this chart. I would rather let Paul tell you what that is. Kristen Perry, what's up? So I do have Papa Paul here. I'll show you the pictures and I'll bring them on. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you guys. I love the support you give me, and I appreciate you. Jamie, I don't know why I'm funny right now, but I love you anyway. Again, I saw you on Grizzly True Crime, and it was awesome. Awesome to see you on Grizzly. I love her. I have some badass palm trees and sunsets. You should email me. I could throw it in my background. You guys are awesome. See? Thank you. Thank you, Rachel Townsend, for gifting one Guilty of Crime membership. So you're supporting the channel, and hashtag bring Lauren Dumolo home. All right. Let me get through these. I'll let Paul explain what happened with the Baker Act thing, but I'm just going to show you. This is Gabby. I think that's what they call him. It sounds like a girl. Anyway, Gabriel, that was her fiance that she never introduced to her dad. And then when she went missing, guess what? Paul had to force him to file a report. He left that night to go be with his girlfriend or his wife. All right, we ride for Lauren. Papa Paul's got his bike squad. That was back in the day, October 3rd, years ago. All right, there's the crew riding for Lauren. Much love to Paul and his supporters. And that's on if you have a tip, there you go. You can scan that bad boy. It's on the front of my channel as well. So there's Paul. I believe that's Cassie, Lauren, her baby, so his grandkids. And I just never want you to forget Lauren Dumolo and who she is and what she looks like. There's Paul again with the beautiful fam. All right. I think that's the last one. absolutely beautiful family, Paul. Remember Lauren Dumolo. She's not going to look like that if we find her, but this is who we're looking for in spirit. However that may be, let's bring her home. And Sweetie Brookahire, thank you so much for hooking me up with I think it was you. I know it's you, but and I'm trying to think if it's MM as well. That is hooking me up with the cold case files, etc. All right, now I bring on Paul. What is up,
Hey, how
Papa
are you?
Paul?
Hi, Jay. How you
I'm
doing?
doing well. I miss you.
Thank you, everybody, for being here once again. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Yes. So tell us a little bit about how are you doing? And tell us about the Baker Act thing. What is
I'm
that?
doing good. I'm sorry I have to drive, but I got to get this
You're
load
good.
there.
And I could
So, yeah.
start playing the episode, no problem.
Okay. The Baker Act. Which one? The first one or the second one?
Well, there you go. You tell us.
Yeah. The first one, I found out at Four Freedoms Park, there's a basin. And on the other side of the basin, there's a hotel and there's a slip there for people to park their boats. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay.
You look great, by the way. You look great in
thank
white. Stella says,
thanks.
"Hey, Paul, I look great in a white shirt." Isn't he a handsome guy? I wish this was my dad. Anyway,
so now you just
making
threw me
him blush.
completely off track. All right. Shit. All right.
So she was involuntarily Baker acted, right?
Yeah.
Involuntarily.
From what I was originally told, that she jumped into the water at Four Freedoms Park. People noticed that she wasn't acting properly and called the police, and they Baker acted her. But then I come to find out from two people that were actually there, she didn't jump into the water from Four Freedoms Park. She was on the other side of the park. So there's the main road out in front of the park. Well, there's a side road where her mom lived, and that takes you out to the main road. And so she had to walk that way, and then where the hotel is, she came around the back side of the hotel, jumped into the water, and swam to the park because somebody was chasing her, and that was after her.
Okay.
And then what happened was somebody from that was at the park called the police. So when the police showed up, she jumped into the water to kind of she didn't want to deal with the police, I guess, I don't know where she gets that from. So anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So anyway,
I don't blame her.
Told her, listen, you need to get out of the water because there's gators in that water. So she came out and they Baker acted her. And when I found this out, I called up the hospital and I became her proxy. And so that meant I got to be able to speak to the psychiatrist, the staff, the nursing staff that was there, and everything that was going on. And I said to them, they said
well, you're a good dad.
She was having hallucinations. I'm like, well,
that's what they thought. But you talked to her after.
That's what she's there. Well, yeah. So she was.
You talked to her.
She was saying some crazy shit there for a while, from what I understand.
Okay. Okay.
So
yeah.
I said, it sounded to me like she was tripping, and they go, no, there was no LSD in her system, or no purple mescaline, nothing like that. There was no drugs in her system. They told me. I said, so she's not schizophrenic, right? This is the psychiatrist I'm speaking with.
Right.
He said, no, that would have shown way earlier in her teens. She's definitely not.
Yeah.
It's like schizophrenic. I said, so then what happened to her? I said, and he said, well, the only thing that we could think of is that recently before this she had an abortion, and kind of like a postpartum type of thing where your chemicals are imbalanced after that, having
having a baby.
That's what they associated to, and that's what they put down in the report, that it was a chemical imbalance due to the abortion. And then then they released her, and It was
Was that
funny
the
because
first time?
that was the
First
first
time,
time.
second time?
Yeah, that was
Okay.
the first
Okay.
time. Yeah, and her prior to doing this, you know, she was at her apartment with Gabby, and then she,
Right.
for whatever reason,
Ah.
right, she left the apartment, went to her mom's house. She wrote a letter to Michaela because she was scared to death, and you know, at first, you know, everybody was saying it sounded like, you know, a suicide letter or something, and I remember, you know, seeing the letter and reading it, and it wasn't a suicide thing. It was just telling Michaela that, you know, if anything
Right.
happened to her, basically, you know, that she loved her very much, and da 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 da, and
Right.
you know, mommy, and stuff
Maybe.
like that. And you know, the police agreed when they saw the that it wasn't a suicide thing, and
Right.
that was the end of that. You know, she went back to work, everything was fine, and
Now,
I
it
get,
could have been something could have happened. Now, nothing, no drugs came up in her system, so I immediately thought Gabby put something in her drink or whatever. But
yeah,
if
but here's the thing, Jay. They didn't do a drug screen on her for 3 days. On the third day,
ah,
they did it. So that drug screen, as far as I'm concerned, is useless.
is
And why they
yeah,
didn't do
because
one, I don't
right,
understand. Because what they did
yeah,
was they sedated the shit out of her, and she basically stayed in her room for 3 days. You know, unconscious. You know.
no, yeah. So I mean, that's a good possibility. Then I mean, that
Yeah.
happens. I mean, it sounds
Yeah.
like Gabby was, you know, mooching off her a bit, using her, going back to the other woman, cheating on her, and maybe he did do.
Oh yeah.
I mean, 3 days gets out of your system with those kind of
Exactly.
hallucinogens and things like that. We all know,
Exactly. Yep.
you know. So,
The thing is, while she was in there, you know, she got her stimulus check because of COVID, and he stole it and cashed it.
so there you go. I hadn't even heard that, and yet I still
Oh yeah.
knew he was
Oh yeah,
mooching
he
off
did.
of her. He
Yeah, and
was he.
I even told the cops
Yeah.
that. I said, you know, you could arrest him for that all by itself. He forged her name and cashed it, and you know, cashed her check.
And they didn't do a thing about anything. I know. That's a shame. Yeah, 3 days is unfortunate because after 48 hours and with fluids, you're pretty much going to be clean of any hallucinogens. So Paul went black there a little. He'll probably come back on. So I mean, there's so many twists and turns in here. We think the boyfriend was involved, either him and his
Okay, hold on. I'm
the
back.
guy
Sorry.
okay, no problem.
A call came and interrupted it. Yeah, and you know, I didn't understand it. I spoke to her on the day that she was being released. You know, and
Right. Someone really wants to talk to him. Yeah, he took her stimulus, Krista, and he didn't even her going missing. He didn't even worry about it. Didn't call the cops. Paul made him go down to the police station and make a file a missing person report because that was her fiance at the time. But I think he did a lot more to her than that. He abused her, and if you remember back in the last episode, I showed you pictures of some choke marks on her neck and some bruises on her side that she sent to her dad the day before she went missing. So, Jamie says, I always thought she sounded like a really good person. Jay, yeah, Lauren was I mean, absolutely. You can see she has an amazing father. She was very supportive, good mom, good family, good sister, good everything about Lauren was just light, love and light. And that when you have love and light, you get people that latch onto you. And that's what happened. That guy latched onto her. Yeah, a man has to eat. And man, Gabby's neighbors, it's very suspect, but they also checked the van. So let's listen a little bit to this. Paul's going to come back on. I don't know what happened, but we'll add you back. All right. All right. I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Now you're louder. Yeah. Okay. All right. So it's a little loud. Do you have your window down?
I'm turning my headset back on. I don't know why I got popped out of the room.
That's okay. I was going to start playing the episode, but I was going to ask you if you had two suspects if you had two people to choose from, who are your top people? Can you hear me? Who do you
Yep, I got you now.
suspect?
It's connected now.
All right. Who do you
So,
suspect if you
so
had
I
top
spoke.
two?
Do I suspect?
Yeah,
Gabby, of
or do
course.
you
Because
think it's
both
Gab?
times that
Okay.
she was Baker acted. Oh yeah, both times she was Baker acted. The only person she was with prior to was Gabby, and they were by themselves in their apartment on both occasions. The
Oh, so
second
he
time
Baker
he
acted
called.
her.
The second time he called me, and this is the weird part. Once again, this guy calls me. And this is before she went missing. I've never met this guy
Right.
and never spoke to him. Why is he calling me when the mother lives right there? Our friends are there. There's so many people that live right there. Plus the neighbors why are you calling me out of the clear blue? And his exact words
Right.
to me was, "Hey, she's having another episode." I said, "What are you talking about?" And I heard, "Is that my dad? Give me the phone. I want to talk to my
Oh,
dad." So she was in the background. And he was like saying something to her. And it was like I could hear her. She kind of grabbed the phone out of his hand, and she's walking outside. He's like, "Where are you going?" She goes, "I'm going outside to talk to my father. You can stay in here."
man.
So she comes outside and she says to me, "Dad, something's not right. I don't feel right again, and
Oh, yeah.
something's not right. Something's not right that's going on here." I said, "Both times, kid, the only person you were with was him." I said, "Did you smoke a joint or anything with him, or did he give you something to drink, or he's putting something in your drink or in something?"
Yeah. If you're even
No, I didn't
thinking
smoke
that,
any weed, nothing,
then
because I got to take the piss test. And then
right.
next thing I know, we were talking and talking, and I said, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "I'm coming down here, kid." I said, "It's going to take me a little while because of COVID," and I was leaving at the time. I was living in California, and
Oh, wow. That's
between
a
California,
9-hour flight.
yeah, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
6 hours,
Yeah.
right? But going to Florida though, but because of how bad COVID was at the time in California and in Florida,
Right.
they were going to quarantine me for 2 weeks.
So you couldn't go. You didn't go until you had to when you went missing, right?
Right, right. So I said to her, "Put him back on the phone." So I said to him, "I don't know what's going on there, but this is not my daughter. She's never had a problem, any kind of psychiatric problems, never hallucinated or anything like this. And both times she was with you, Gabby." I said, "I've
Man.
never met you. This is the first time, or I'm ever really talking to you. And why you're calling me, I'm not sure.
And telling you that
And
she's
telling me
having
these
another
things."
episode.
Right. He
So
says, "Well,
did he?
what do you want me to do?" And I was like, "What do I mean? What do you mean? What do I want you to do?" I said, "Keep her there and keep an eye on her. And
Right.
you're gonna have to make a judgment call because I'm not there. If I was there, I wouldn't Baker act her.
No,
I would
so
sit
he
with her
Baker
and
acted her. Is that what
yeah, he
happened
called up and
next?
I hung up with him, and next thing
This
I
mother.
know, he Baker acted her. And then
Damn.
when they released her, you know, she called me and she was mad at me. And I was like, what's the matter? She goes, "You told Gabby to Baker act
Oh
me?"
yeah. What a
I said,
piece of
"No, of course not." I said, She said, "Well, that's what he told me." Well, I said, "If you don't know by now that he's a liar, kid, I don't know what to
right.
tell you." I told him he needed to make a judgment call because I wasn't there. But if I was there, I would not Baker act her. I would just sit with you. I said, "So don't be mad at me because of what this guy is doing, because I'm pretty sure he's drugged you on 2 occasions now."
Right.
And she's
Yeah,
like,
it sounds like it.
I said, "Where are you?" She goes, "I just got out." And I was like, "Who picked you up?" She said, "Nobody picked me up. They called an Uber and put me in an Uber." I said, "What are you talking about?" I said,
Yeah.
by law, they have to release you to either a friend or a family that has
4
to come
years.
in, show ID, and there's procedures to go through. They can't just call you an Uber and throw you out of the facility like that. It's against the law. She goes, "Well, I got to go.
Right.
I'm going to put a job application in," which you saw. That was the
Yeah.
last time anybody ever
That
saw
was
her.
okay.
And
Yeah,
which
that was the footage. That was the
right
footage
at
we
the Circle
saw.
K, which I don't understand, because how is it from the time she left that Circle K and she went missing with all the cameras everywhere, stores have them, banks have them, you know, the red lights have, and lights have, and their cameras on the corners. There's cameras everywhere.
Where'd she go? It sounds like she didn't leave that apartment.
And these cops told me that she was not seen ever again on any camera from there on in. How is
they
that
never
even
saw her.
possible?
So they never
Yeah.
even saw her return home then. They never saw her go back
The
into the
last time
apartment.
anybody ever saw her was on that video. And I
Which
asked
is-
the cops, what stores are around? Well, there's a whole bunch of stores. It's that main strip right there. I said, you're telling me none of those stores have a camera that picked up my daughter? I said, she got dropped off by an Uber. So she was walking.
Yeah, and you know what? How did her phone make it home and her purse make it to the park, and then a shirt later on showed up? In my opinion, that sounds very staged and like
something I didn't tell you. Somebody told me straight up that the morning that the purse
I didn't find anything.
The purse that was left in the park and the shoes, which I found out after the fact, which the cops didn't tell me were left in the park on the bench.
I saw those.
That morning on Saturday, before Gabby went and picked up Victor, because Gabby had the van from Thursday until Saturday.
Now remind us, Victor. Who's Victor? Remind us so we know.
My ex-wife's pedophile boyfriend.
Okay. All right. So Victor and Gabby were friends. That's now Mom, your ex-wife, lived right across from Lauren, right?
And so did Victor,
right across. And she obviously didn't help anything. So they didn't call Mom. Mom's right across the street and say, hey, Mom, what should I do? He called you, it sounds like, for some sort of weird alibi.
Why did he call? Why did he
sounds
call
like,
Victor?
Yeah, why? Yeah, it sounds, and
the mother.
every time I
or
hear
her
that.
sister, who lives right around the corner.
Right.
Lindsay lived right around the corner at the time.
It definitely sounds like he was drugging her.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen that before. We've seen gaslighting where somebody will drug somebody and then putting it, and then Baker
behavior.
acting. Well, then you
that whole thing is a setup. That whole thing was a setup, to make it look like she committed suicide is what they were trying.
How many times have we seen that before? I've seen that many times where someone does that, and then they're like, "Oh, they're crazy. We gotta do something."
She was never like that ever. This only happened right before she went missing. No. So anyway, that he was not allowed to drive the van, Gabriel, and he was not even allowed to take that van home with him. But for some reason, Thursday, Victor allowed him to take the van home, and he didn't show back up, supposedly, until Saturday to pick up Victor to go to work over on Marcos Island.
And what day did she go missing?
But she went missing. He was saying on Friday when he got home.
On Friday.
I personally believe it was Thursday night or Thursday afternoon. I don't.
Thursday night, yeah.
Friday.
Sorry, folks.
When he got home from work, she was
now,
already missing.
They didn't see her.
They
didn't see her
again. He got
again.
home from work on Friday, right? He said he left her when he left for work on Friday morning. He kissed her goodbye, but then
your internet's cutting out a little bit, Paul. Now, a crime to remember. It was covered recently. It was the 4-year anniversary. And at the 4-year anniversary, the local news station covered it. It seems like every year they cover this story. And right after we started this series is when they covered it. So they covered it, I should say, right before. So right before the series started, it was like 2 weeks after that we picked this up. And I picked it up because of Carrie. Carrie introduced me to this case. Carrie's in Cape Coral. And Carrie introduced me to Paul. Yeah, I can hear you now. Now, Carrie has a question, and it was a big question we were all waiting for. Carrie says, Paul, do you have a copy
the point I was trying to get.
Okay.
The point I was trying to get to was somebody saw him walking, Gabriel walking out of the park early Saturday morning, then saw him drive back afterwards with the van to get Victor.
Okay. So I was
because
trying to
it was him
understand if
that
you
put
think,
put the
right. Now, do you think Victor, I don't know if you could hear me. Now, Carrie, I don't know if he would have
planted
a
this
copy of the
afternoon.
right. Do you think Victor had anything to do with it with Gabby, or he just let him use it? Okay, so he dropped down again. And Carrie, we'll ask after. Okay, I can hear you, but you dropped down
Well, I can
again.
hear you. What are you saying? What did Carrie want to know?
Okay. Carrie's asking if you have a copy of the application that Lauren filled out at the gas station. I'm not really sure. She says because the applications have your address, phone number, etc. No, I didn't think so. It seems like the police didn't do much.
No, I never
Yeah,
got the
no.
application. No, and I don't know
No, they
who
didn't.
took the application or who was working there. But that what does that have to do with anything? I mean, whoever it was knew where she lived because you know they had her purse.
They had her purse, her phone was left in there, and then they brought a shirt later. And the only person that could do that is somebody that's really close to her. They're not going to go back in that house and go get her stuff or
That
whatever they
shirt
took.
was washed. That shirt was washed before it was put there. Because if that shirt was
Okay.
there, like they said, for 3 weeks, it would have been
If that does,
crusty and hard with all the rain and the sand. That shirt was like brand new right out of the freaking washing machine. And here's the weird
right.
thing I'm going to
Thank
tell
you,
you.
Sophie.
Outside of my daughter's apartment, there was like this little building, a cinder block building. And I seen one of the neighbors at the end, while I was there. I asked her, "What is that building right there?" She goes, "Oh, that's the laundry room." I said, "Really?" I said, "Do you have a key to that?" She goes, "Yeah." I said, would you open it for me?" And I told her I was Lauren's dad. I opened up the door. She opened up the door, and on the shelf was all of Lauren's clothes. So after she left that Circle K, she went back to
Right.
that apartment, and she was doing laundry. And from that, she never got to finish her
Oh,
laundry. And
right.
what was really strange was all her stuff was up on because somebody else, I guess, was going to do laundry, and it was left in there. So they put it up on. There was like shelves, like metal shelves, up on the on the wall. And I looked in the garbage, and I don't know where, but there were all of these little screws in this garbage can. And I looked at every single thing. That I pulled the dryer out, the washing machine out. I looked at it. These screws didn't come from anywhere inside that laundry room.
Right.
So I don't know what those were for, but the cops didn't even know about that. They never looked
It
in
sounds
there.
like you did more investigation than they did. I don't think they really did much. Gabby was not looked into, folks. Gabby wasn't looked into. Jamie, she didn't have a job. She was looking for a job. I'm assuming she was
She
looking
lost
for
her.
any kind of.
She had a job. She lost her
She
job
had
at
a
Taco
job.
Bell because when he Baker acted her, nobody notified work. And so she just
Okay.
didn't show up, and so they had no choice but
Right.
to fire her.
No,
And you
no
know what?
call, no show.
Here's something I meant to tell you. I think I on the first broadcast, which I never did say, but the way Lauren got the job at Taco Bell is because Gabriel's cousin is a manager of the Taco Bell. And not
Right.
only is he the manager, but they moved him around. He takes care of 3 different stores. And when Gabriel called me on that Friday night, telling me that she was missing, and I asked him, did he look for her? And he had said to me at the end, I even looked under the bridge. And I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that sounded just so odd to me. But listen, this is what, out of the 3 Taco Bells that his cousin manages and was there on both of these occasions in 2 different Taco Bells, somebody that worked in that Taco Bell was abducted and was tried. They tried to what you call it, to traffic them. The first one,
Yes.
got
That's
her ass
another thing
kicked
I
and
wanted
beat
to
up,
get to.
And you know where they
That's
found her?
that's another thing. Where
You know where they found her? Under the bridge.
under the bridge, right? Right. You don't just say that for no reason. Yeah, you don't say that for no reason. And
No,
Tiff,
where did that even come
you're
from?
there's
You know what
many
that is? That's
suspects
somebody
as
subconsciously
right,
shit came out of his mouth before he realized what he said.
right. Now this,
That's what
yeah,
that is.
absolutely not. And somebody brought up GHB, which is a really good, that is a good one. It could have been is GHB that only stays in your system for like 24 hours.
Yep,
It
24
only
hours.
shows up, and that makes you feel woozy and crazy. It can make you have a lot of different
Oh yeah.
effects. So,
And
I
here's
mean,
another thing, Jay. And I don't mean to interrupt you. Here's another thing.
oh, you're
All of
good.
the girls that worked at all of these Taco Bells, they all had the same thing in common. They were all out of rehab, and they were all drug abusers at one time.
That sounds like trafficking to me, and that's what I was trying to
Exactly.
bring up
And
earlier.
I handed that
Yeah,
to the police on a silver platter. Here's the whole freaking problem.
no,
The
that it's a
cousin.
problem. It's a problem in that
Oh, yeah.
area too. In that particular area is a problem. Now, you guys remember the reason this case came to me because Wade Wilson, I was covering that, and that you think people brought up it could have been Wade. Now, when you look into Wade's background, he says that he's into trafficking. I don't think he is. I think he's just a joker, a clown. But it is in that area. It's highly in the area, right? Because you say it's near the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
Um,
Miami's right down the road. Miami's not
Miami's
that
right,
far.
right.
You know,
I
you can
mean,
take
it's
them
a
to
huge problem.
Miami. You can take them to Tampa. You could, you could
Right.
put
Think
them.
about
You could
it.
take them to
Yeah.
freaking Mexico or Cuba. Cuba's only 90
Look at,
miles off the freaking coast.
I mean, when you
And
look
he's from
into
Puerto
the,
Rico. He could have gotten her to Puerto
it's
Rico if he wanted to get her out. Who the hell
exactly,
knows?
exactly,
And
exactly.
he actually went
I,
to visit his mother after this in Puerto Rico.
and there you go. I mean, there's so many possibilities. In my heart of hearts, when somebody's missing that long, number one, and I never want to say this to their father, but thinking that she's alive would be probably better than being trafficked and being abused. But I think your daughter probably,
I knew she wasn't. I knew my daughter wasn't alive on Father's Day on that Sunday when I didn't get it, because she would have figured out a way. Even if she was trafficked, she would have figured out a way somehow to contact me.
she would have fought. She would have fought
Oh
too,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, my
you would
daughter.
have.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Lauren, yeah.
See, me, I'd rather my life be taken than somebody to do that to me, and I could imagine that she would probably be like that as well. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even imagine being trafficked, but I wouldn't live that way, and that's why I say that. So, but we do want
And
to.
if she was trafficked, the expectancy of these girls that are trafficked, once they, I mean, they'll addict them to heroin naturally, They get 'em-
Exactly.
yeah, what they do, they keep them in a room,
Membership
they
link.
use them up until they can't get nothing left out of them. They can't find a vein no more, and then they throw them out in the street
Right.
most of the time, and they dump them.
Of course,
And
they
she
don't
would've
have
sho-
a lifespan.
yeah, right. She would have showed up by now. Most of them, they don't just kill them, unless
No,
my
and
daughter tried to escape or did something or whatever, which, that's a different possibility. But,
Right.
if she was actually trafficked, they would have dumped her a long time ago out onto the curb.
I hate I hate to think that. I'm glad that you're a realist, however, because I don't like to, I don't like to say that. Now, can one of you mods drop a link directly for Lauren to become a member? Because I'd like her to be a member. If somebody could drop that. Anyway, all right. Yeah, I hate saying that, but I appreciate your,
Yeah, you know what? I'm to the point, Jay, where, you just have to be a realist about things. You can't,
I agree.
sugarcoat things, and you can't hide behind the things and act like this didn't happen or that didn't happen. It is what it's written. It is what it is.
I know.
And does it hurt to talk about it? Yeah, but if it helps my daughter, or somebody that has information about things, then it's worth it. As far as I'm concerned.
And I agree. I agree. And I'm glad I can talk to you very openly about it, and you understand, because I never want a family member to hear me say something. I'm
I've
very.
heard everything, Jay. I've heard everything.
I know, but I'm not. I'm
I'm
not
like that.
disrespectful like that. I know, and neither am I.
You know what? Here's the thing. It's not about being disrespectful to somebody. when you ask hard questions or say certain things. It's more about people. Some people, I guess, they can't either deal with that, or it's too hurtful
I
or
I
too
get it,
whatever.
but I don't
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
all
want
it
to,
really is.
I don't
It's
want a
not about
reaction, and
disrespect. I'm not
I'm
going to give
very
you a reaction.
careful.
My reactions are exactly what they are because of who was involved.
And I appreciate that, and maybe that bringing this back out, we will be able to. The lovely ladies are sending me the forms to fill out for cold cases to bring it in. I mean, this case is big enough to, not just big enough, but it's such a, when you look at it closely, there's so many things that you say there's no reason that they didn't look at that. And anybody would look at it that's
Uh,
doing cold case foundation, that they would say we need to look into this some more. So I believe that it truly does deserve that, and that's what we're here to do. So thank you for,
you,
all being you.
one of the biggest problems I had was when they brought Gabby in and for questioning and then a lie detector test. And this is exactly what the detective told me in front of my daughter, Cassie. And he said to me, yeah, we gave him a lie detector test, and he passed with flying colors. Those were his exact words to
Wow.
me. And you know what my answer to him was? You're full of shit. And I'll tell you
Is
why.
that what you
I
said
don't
to him?
exactly what I said. I said, you know why?
Uh,
Even if he's innocent, you're still nervous when you go in there. And nobody, I mean nobody, if they're being looked at, even if they're innocent, you're still
right.
nervous when you go in there, you know? And you don't
Yeah.
pass, nobody passes with flying colors. Nobody. Nobody, unless you're a complete psychopath and you're able to control your breathing, your heart rate, or you're taking drugs before you go in, and like downs, like a down, to keep you really,
Right.
really super calm. But guess what?
And
They don't drug screen anybody before they do a
they
lie
don't.
detector,
I
which is
know.
bullshit,
And
and they should, because you don't know if that's why
lie
it can't be
detector,
used in court.
they're
It's not.
unreliable, number one,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
they didn't show you the test results, so you don't even know if they actually did it. And in my opinion, I feel like they are full of shit.
With an answer
When
like
they
that,
feel,
no, exactly what I told him. Nobody passes with flying colors. It's like when they told me
yeah,
about Oscar. Oh, he definitely committed suicide. If he was going through a divorce, and this is what I was told in the police station once again by a detective in front of everybody, and my daughter's there.
right.
Oh, this is exactly the exact words. If you were married to his wife, you would hang yourself too.
Oh,
And who the
no,
fuck said? Oh, excuse me. Who says
no,
something
you're
like that?
fine.
Who
No,
who
I
says
know.
something like that? That's ridiculous. That man was
Yeah,
going
no,
fishing
this,
that day.
yeah,
He was
this case
no.
doesn't, it needs a proper investigation, and talking about
No.
it the way that we are, I mean, it obviously hit home with many people. I'm gonna play a little bit of the complicit
Go ahead.
episode so we can get this episode going. I
Yep.
mean, this is your input's much more interesting having you on, but I definitely want to
No, please play it.
continue this.
Yep.
So let's play a little bit of it and remember what happened last week. This is called 2.5 weeks earlier, and it will fill people in when you're asking who Victor is and who this is. Victor was or is, I don't know, Lauren's
Was.
mom.
But
Was
she
Lauren's mom's, yeah, she passed away. It was her boyfriend, her husband,
she's dead.
and
Now her
she's dead.
boyfriend.
She passed. So it
Okay.
was.
Yep.
And Victor let Gabby or whatever, he used his van when Lauren went missing. So you put two and two together, and there's a possibility of a lot of things. So Victor and Gabby. So we'll continue. Let's listen to this, and you'll hear a little bit more about what happened 2.5 weeks earlier, so we can fill you in on this.
You are CPS. Hi.
2 girls died of overdose. Then they hid the bodies.
Hold on
She was
1
pregnant,
second.
and the child could
It was
either.
the work van that
Go ahead.
Gabby took home with him.
Okay. Now Victor didn't let him take it, or you don't know.
His personal van. It was the wake home on Thursday, but he was not
Okay.
supposed to allow him to do that. It was the work van that he took home.
Right.
The dogs hit on the work van, and when those dogs hit, it laid down. That is right there shows you there was a dead body in there. When a dog lays down like that, that's
Oh,
a total 110% hit.
but they
And
didn't.
they weren't
But
even going to their house. The dogs
oh,
dragged them over there. They were at Four Freedoms Park with the dogs, and they were running the perimeter when the dogs got a scent and pulled them across the street at the mother's house where the work van was parked and hit on that van and laid down.
and they didn't do
Laid
anything.
down.
They didn't swab it. They didn't.
Yeah, they impounded it, and then they
Okay,
dragged them up the stairs to the mother's apartment, and they laid down and hit on 4 different things in the mother's apartment.
but then nothing. It just the investigation stopped. As far as I mean, it's been over 4
I could
years.
tell you what they hit on in the van. There was a first aid kit in the back. There was a bloody rag
Okay,
in the back. There was a piece of rope in the back, and there was, I think, a piece of rug or whatever was left in the back or whatever. And they also hit on the front driver's seat and the driver's steering wheel. In the mother's house, there was a curtain, from what I understand, in front of the washer and dryer. Hit on that curtain, hit on the dishwasher, hit on the rug, and hit on the curtain that the balcony, which looks out to Four Freedoms Park.
so
Yeah,
what they were looking for. So that was the cadaver dogs, and that's what we talked
cadaver
about
dog.
last week.
Yes,
Okay, all right.
yes.
So Jamie says so that hasn't been seen again. The purse. No, that has. They found the purse. The phone was in the apartment. The purse was found. It looked kind of placed, right? Her purse was just kind of placed.
It was definitely placed there, and
Yeah, it was definitely
the
placed.
handle was broke on it. So the
All
handle,
right.
she was struggling, because the handle was broke on it, on one of the handles. So you could see where she
Right.
like would have had it in one hand and somebody grabbed it,
And somebody, yeah.
Yep.
Did they
And
ever find things in it? I mean, was there money left in there, cards
yeah,
and things?
yeah, this is the funny part. I was told there was nothing in there except a piece of paper or a receipt that had my daughter's address on it and name on it. That's the only reason they knew it was hers. Then I come to find out everything was in her purse except her phone.
Yeah, which was at home. Which was at home.
No,
And what?
Gabby had the phone for sure.
But
Gabby had
here's the
phone
thing.
because I'll tell you why I know this. Because on that Saturday when he Baker acted her, I mean the time before he Baker acted her, that Saturday my daughter Cassie called up for a wellness check a week after Father's Day, and a female officer went to my daughter's house. No, I'm sorry, it was that Saturday. That was when they were supposedly at Marco's Island working, and
Right.
the female officer went there, and I told Cassie, give her my phone number. When she gets there, have her call me. And the female
Right.
officer called me. I was in California. She said she knocked on the door, and through the blinds in the right in front of the apartment, which is the kitchen blinds, somebody was looking through there, but she couldn't tell who it
Right.
was. But they won't open the door. I said,
Right.
kick the door in. She goes, I
Of
can't. I
course.
don't have probable cause. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, my daughter's missing. I'm giving you permission. Kick the door in. But you're not
They
on the
wouldn't.
lease.
Yep.
So listen. So that's the same day. Whoever was in that apartment is the one that actually called up Gabby where he didn't answer the phone, and
Right.
texted Gabby where he didn't answer the text. Because the following Tuesday, my daughter Cassie,
Yay.
Lindsay, and her boyfriend went and got the key to the apartment from her mother. And they called the
Right.
cops, and the cops were going to meet them there. Because if you remember, Sunday, Gabby was supposed to meet them there, showed up an hour and a half later. He told me he called them back, and they never showed up to let them in, which he never did.
Right.
So now that was Sunday. Now this Tuesday, my daughter gets the key. I said to her, when you get to the house, call me. Why? I said, just call me when you get there. So she calls me, Dad, I'm here. I said, are the cops there? She said, no. I said, one of you go in that apartment right now before the cops get there. Any phones that are in that house, I want them.
Grab. Yeah.
I'll be there tomorrow. So Matt went inside, grabbed my daughter's phone and another phone. He walked out of the apartment, and who's standing there? Gabby. Well, how is Gabby there when he should have been at work on Tuesday morning? Right?
Right. But he
So,
took her phone.
so
The
what he
cops
did
never
was,
got it.
so what he did was, when Matt walked out, he said to Matt, "Oh, what's that?" He grabbed the phone out of Matt's hand, walked back into the apartment, and came back out and handed Matt a different phone.
Okay. All right.
Then the
So
cops came. Then the cops came, and they're searching around, and Gabby is there. And this is what Gabby does. He says, "Well, obviously she's not coming back. That's my TV. I'm taking it with me." And he
right,
picks
and
it
he
up,
takes the TV.
and that you
Right.
can't. That's a crime scene. You can't do that. And they let him walk out the door. That was a smart TV, which has a hard drive in it, which hooks up to Wi-Fi, just like the
Right.
phones do.
Like
And all
it's
that
like a
evidence
fire
on that
stick.
hard, all
Yeah.
that evidence on that hard drive on that TV went right out the door, gone.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, if you ever want them to investigate, it's got to get to somebody that does cold cases or fresh eyes, because
They
there's a
never
lot.
should have let. He wasn't on the lease.
No,
They
they
never should
shouldn't
have let.
have.
They should have never let him out
They
the door with nothing.
No, they shouldn't have. I mean, I'm looking at Brian Koberger's case, and you can see the list, and I believe they took a fire stick, which is equivalent to taking a smart TV and all the information. So, all right, folks,
Exactly.
I'm trying not to answer all the questions, because this is a 10 or 11
I'm
part
sorry.
series. It's
I'm
probably
sorry.
going to
Go
be.
ahead.
No, you're good. I'm going to play a little bit because people are asking questions, but if I answer them, then we kind of will be all over the place. So we play a little bit of this, and we'll keep going. You're good.
Gabby's or Carl's.
You can see on her arm where she blocked. There's a big mark on her arm over here. You can see where there's like handprints and strangle marks on her neck.
Right.
29 days since this missing Cape Coral mother was last seen. Lauren Dumolo just turned 30 on Tuesday.
Dumolo hasn't been seen in more than a month now.
The Baker Act, which allows authorities to force a psychiatric evaluation on anyone considered to be a danger to themselves or others.
Where is Lauren Dumolo?
Good question.
I'm Hillary Wadsworth. And I'm Caitlin Body. And you're listening to
Hillary and Caitlin.
Chapter 12, Erratic Behavior. In this episode, we're still back in time before Lauren disappeared. 2.5 weeks before, to be exact. Up until this point, we've spent a lot of time talking about the suspicious circumstances surrounding Gabby and Victor and even Anne, and how they had withdrawn from the rest of the family, how they were absent from the searches, and how their behaviors raised plenty of concern to Lauren's dad and sisters. And while it is definitely concerning behavior, there were other factors at play that could have explained their disinterest. Now we want to move away from Gabby, Victor, and Anne and fill you in on what was going on with Lauren shortly before she went missing. In the last episode, we mentioned Lauren's decision to have an abortion, which happened on May 22nd. This is important to take into consideration because after this happened, Lauren started behaving in some very unusual ways. It all started with a phone call Cassie received.
I had received a call from our other sister. She was like, "Hey, have you heard from Lauren today?" And I was like, "No, haven't heard from her." Didn't really think anything was out of the ordinary there. And then she was like, "Well, she called me this morning and she was asking me to pick her up and saying people were after her." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was really confused.
Lauren had been demonstrating erratic, paranoid behavior ever since May 22nd.
So this is why, since May 22nd, before she went missing, and crime to remember, that's an interesting question about how much evidence they need to make charges without her body, because I feel like now we're going back in time, and this is why they didn't take it as seriously as they should have, is because of the circumstances that happened. And just the fact that I believe she was recovering from pain pills at the time, right, Paul? And so they probably classified her as a drug addict.
She was actually, yeah, they did. She was actually recovering from heroin. She was coming for a year and a half because the pain pills. She got into a car accident when she was 19 years old, and her back and they put her on Percocet on a pain management, and eventually that led all the way up to an addiction on that, and then that wasn't helping the pain, and then naturally it just grew up to that point. But yeah, that's I believe one of the main reasons why that it wasn't handled. And
that's what we're going to hear right now, the things that led up to it. So right now we're talking about Victor and Gabby and the van and the cadaver dogs. We're going to go back and listen to this whole episode. Is why I started out showing you the Bimini Basin and I don't know if they call that a river, and her swimming across it is what brings us to this. So, all right.
Only those physically closest to her witnessed it, those being her mother, Victor, Gabby, and her brother Jeffrey. Cassie, Paul, and their other sister, they all lived hours away and didn't see Lauren on a daily basis. Lindsay, who would normally have been nearby, had moved in with Matt, who lived an hour away and was hunkered down due to the pandemic. While they all generally talked to Lauren on a regular basis, they couldn't have seen how strange Lauren's behavior had become. Jeffrey finally told Lindsay what was going on.
Jeffrey was explaining everything she was doing. She was not herself. She was not right. He said he'd never been more scared in his life of her. Jeffrey said that one day he drove past her apartment and she was home and he was on his way to Dunkin' Donuts or something. And she was sitting in the middle of her lawn with her legs crossed, like meditating, and maintenance was mowing the lawn and she wouldn't get up. Just weird stuff like that. And then even another time he was driving and she ran over to his car and was like banging like hard on his door and like, let me in, and sweating like crazy.
Cassie, who hadn't seen the erratic and paranoid version of Lauren, became concerned upon learning of her recent behavior.
Now, Cassie's her sister. You guys have to, and I'm glad that you have, consistently, I've seen the same people here. If you go back and watch, start the episode just one day when you're wanting to go back on this and start from episode 1, you'll see the giant picture and then you'll see all the in between. So if anyone's confused, now, do we stop for a second? Do you have anything to say, Paul, or do you want to keep going?
No, keep going.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
There's just so much to this case and people ask a lot of questions, but I think this will fill in a lot.
Lindsay, myself, our mother were like all on like a video call together. Like, well, what are we going to do? Like, has anybody heard from her? Can anybody file a police report? Like, I don't understand what's going on. I live 2 hours away. I mean, I hate to say this, but nobody that was in her surrounding area wanted to bring it to any kind of authority because they didn't want to deal with it. Like, Gabriel refused and my mom was sick and she couldn't, and Victor didn't want to be a part of it.
The call to Cassie from her other sister wasn't the only strange thing that happened on June 1st. Earlier that day, Lauren had done something peculiar. She walked down the street to her mother and Victor's apartment with a letter and a picture in hand. She left both of them on the kitchen table and walked out. The picture was of Lauren and her daughter, Michaela. The note was not addressed to Anne or Victor, but to her daughter. Here's what Lauren wrote.
Michaela, Mommy loves you so much. I'm sorry I wasn't the mom you deserve, but you mean the world to me. You're my only reason for life, and without you, I have no life. You're my heart and soul, and I'll always be with you, even when I'm not. You're my angel, baby, and now I'll be your angel, always watching over you, and always in your heart. I love you, Mom.
So if you all were here at the beginning of this episode, this is exactly what Paul was talking about. And when someone writes a letter like that, thank you, by the way, JoJo, for the 5 guilty of crime memberships. When someone writes a letter like that, people think that they're going to unalive themselves, what we call it. So all of these things that are leading up, them calling her a drug addict, her saying that she was Baker acted, and all these things, the circumstances is why they didn't take it seriously. So unfortunately,
you know what? Here's the thing, Jay. You know what? For the mother, the brothers, Victor, Gabby, and nobody wants to do nothing and get involved or take it to a doctor to see. Nobody wants, that's, how is it your daughter is, if she is mentally having a breakdown or somebody is doing something to her, if she's having a mental breakdown, then she needs to be taken to a doctor, or to an emergency
I
room
agree.
and find, right. I mean, but nobody wanted to be.
Why don't
bothered
people
to do
think that way?
Right.
People don't have a heart.
Nobody, because it wasn't about that.
So that's the thing.
This was all leading up. This whole thing, whatever they were giving her, and up to this point, led up to her missing. So it looked like she committed suicide. Now,
right.
I don't even know for a fact if she actually is the one that wrote that letter or dropped that letter off there.
Exactly. And did they ever check it? Probably not. They probably never checked the handwriting.
I bet you any amount of money it was already garbage before the cops even got there.
Exactly. And
because anybody could have wrote a letter and had a picture like that and said that this is what she wrote to make it look like she's having a mental breakdown. She was suicidal. She jumped into the water and she killed herself.
Yep. And she got Baker acted.
That's why they left the purse and everything there. whoever chased her and she jumped into that water, it wasn't that she was paranoid. Because I'll tell you what did happen. A few months before this, I got a phone call from Lauren, and she's crying because Lauren.
It's cutting out again. Now, for anybody that's okay, go ahead. I didn't hear. I didn't hear you.
After work at Taco Bell, she had to walk around the side of the building through the parking lot and then across the side street, and that's where the bus picked her up back there behind this other building. And she said she was crying hysterically when she called me, saying that there were two guys in this brown car that tried to grab her and drag her into the car. She got away. She ran up to the bus, and one of the guys that was chasing her grabbed her purse and took her purse. And the bus driver originally didn't even want to let her on the bus. And I was like, did you? And my first question was to her, hey, kid, I got to ask you a question, and I need the truth. Did they rape you? And she said, no, Dad, I got away. I said,
oh, wow.
Do you know who they were? No. So she had a reason to be afraid. And she calls me later on that night. When Gabby got home from work, she said she told him about this. And you know what his response was? It's always something with you, isn't it?
Oh, I'm sure. And that was her fiance of 4 years.
That was her exact words to me, what he said. Now, what kind of man says that to somebody that is traumatized by something that you supposedly love, and but you don't take them to doctors, you don't do nothing, this whole thing, and that's why
it sounds more of a setup.
Yeah. Oh,
it sounds more of a setup than anything.
That's why the purse and everything was put back at the purse. Everything was put back there at the park to make it look like
I think she
went
was
back
done
into the water. And
then she was done with him.
Then I had Cape Coral Police Department. So this new guy that was there call me up and tell me, if there's a good possibility she was in the water and the current took her out because it's so strong and blah 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 blah. And he talked to the Coast Guard about the currents and how long it would take her to be swept out to the Gulf and this and that. And that's a good chance why they didn't find her. And da 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 da. And you know what I said to him was? I said, my daughter didn't jump into the water, first of all.
Oh yeah.
She did not commit suicide, second of all. I said, third of all, by the time all of these little canals and everything, you would have gotten stuck. You would never make it to the Gulf.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think they were just trying to get you off their back, to be honest. And
is that what you really? Because you don't want to do something. So I got there on Wednesday night. Thursday morning, I had a meeting with the Cape Coral Police Department because nobody was assigned to my daughter's case because somebody input it wrong into the into the computer. So Friday, Cassie and I are down at Four Freedoms Park, and we pull up, and there are 3 cop boats out in the basin from the sheriff's department. And one of the cop boats is in the dock with its radio on. And I didn't know what was going on at the time until I heard on the radio from the police boat that was in the basin at the dock that they were talking on. It was on the same channel. They never turned the radio off. They were searching for my daughter. And I was standing there while they searched for my daughter in the water. 3 different boats with scuba divers. And they did a whole, grid sweep. And my daughter wasn't in that water.
How long did they search for, just out of curiosity? I mean, when you're looking at the cases.
That was hours. It was hours.
I mean, how okay, so when you look at the Sebastian Rogers case, you might not know that, but they go and they search, and then another team searches, and they do, they've been doing it for months and months. So I'm curious, did they do it hours after for like a week and then call it off and stop? Did they come back?
They just did it that one day.
One day, okay.
I happened to pull up on it, and I didn't know that anybody was in there doing the search. But I'm sitting there listening to them talking about looking for my daughter. And I'm thinking to myself, holy crap. What if they pull my daughter out of the water? And I'm standing here. They don't even know I was there at the time. Yeah, because they were out in the water. I was at Four Freedoms Park, right next to where they parked. They docked the boats, and that's one of their police boats was docked with the radio left on.
And
so
once they're done, though, once they're done, cops don't want to hear. They don't want the family calling over and over. They're like, we're gonna, they want to tell you whatever. And I know you're there for 3 months, so they probably were just like, yeah, he passed with flying colors. They didn't want you to go over there and do something to Gabby. I don't even know if they would have told you.
I
you know,
couldn't do nothing to Gabby if I wanted to. They had me under 24 hours, 7 days a week surveillance.
it's not interesting. They had you under surveillance.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was
But
told
not, but not him.
I was told that was to protect me from myself.
Yeah, they did question the ex.
And you know what I told them? Yeah, I'm going to make it real simple for you. If I plan on doing something, you're not going to have to come find me and I'm going to run away. I will walk right into the police station. I will tell you what I did. I'll give you whatever I used to do it with. And there you go. I said, I'll make it real simple for you. I said, he goes, Paul, this is what we're talking about. Why do you talk like that? I said, what would you do if it was your daughter?
Exactly.
I said,
exactly.
If it was your daughter, I guarantee you this. And, if it was a cop's daughter, and I don't care what cop it was, that person would never make it to court because they would never see him again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the status of her case, and we're still into this. We're only in episode 6, autism, grandma of 3. So we're only in we're in telling the story. The status of her case is not cold, but there's nothing going on. I mean, I'm sorry, it's not closed. It's a cold case. But we're getting into the details of it so that if somebody does know her in this town or does find her, there's more coverage to not only go back on, but just like is that you, sweetie, that's saying, or MM that's saying cold case. So when you bring something back to light, people start to do something, and that's what we're trying to do here. So I don't know if we'd call it stalled or it's a cold case. They're not looking at it right now, and that's why we're talking about it.
They're not looking at it. And I'm going to interject on something here, Jay, which I never really.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what? I'm not going to. Never mind. Nope. Never mind.
All right, let me play this a little, and you can think about.
Sorry.
Okay, you
No, I
can
don't
think
have to
about it while I play.
No, I don't need. No.
All right.
Never mind.
The O in mom appears to be a namaste symbol, and she drew a heart after her signature. The letter could have been interpreted in different ways, but it did not sit right with Cassie.
I found that very concerning, and that was one of the reasons I had reached out to the police. I don't know where she is. She left this note, and they're like, well, the note doesn't really say she's going to, just kind of implies, but it doesn't directly say that she's going to harm herself. But that note could be taken as she is going to harm herself, or that she thinks something bad is going to happen to her.
Right.
Cassie was concerned either way. She called the Cape Coral Police Department back that same day to file a missing persons report because since that phone call to their other sister, no one had been able to get a hold of Lauren all day. She was told that Lauren had not been missing long enough to be considered a missing person. Still, they did take her seriously enough to follow up.
And they did have an officer follow up with me that evening, and they were like, yeah, Lauren's not missing. We actually got a call, and she had been at the Four Freedoms Park where she frequents. And I guess some bystanders had called the police saying that a woman was acting erratic, and it was Lauren. And when they arrived, she was saying that people were after her. She had actually jumped in the water to get away from the police.
Paul explained further.
She was actually on the other side of the park where there's a little canal where you can park your boats, and then there's the basin. She was on the other side where the hotel is and swam to the park. Like she was running away from somebody and trying to get away. And she was on the other side and swam to the park. And then people saw her. Then somebody at the park called the cops, supposedly. And then when she saw the cops, she jumped back into the water because she was afraid.
When they finally got her out, she was saying things about aliens and hearing voices.
She swam back, and then that's when they Baker acted her.
A complete stranger had called the authorities when she witnessed Lauren jumping into the Bimini Boat Basin waters at Four Freedoms Park. Lauren was behaving in a paranoid way, enough so that someone found it best to call and report her unusual behavior. She resisted and evaded the EMT officers who showed up to collect her by jumping in the water and swam from one end of the park to another.
Wow.
To give you a little more perspective into Lauren's strange behavior that day, there's currently an outstanding warrant for her arrest. The charge is assault. Just as a side note, remember when we said Lauren's phone that Gabby had in his possession only had 10 days worth of usage information on it? That's because when Lauren jumped in the water on June 1st, she had her cell phone with her, and it was never recovered from the water. So the phone that Gabby had was an old one she recycled after this situation occurred.
All right, and I'll stop there for a second in case you have anything to say. But
Nope.
so that you guys are now starting to see how this is coming together. And I mean, when we talk about, let's say, sex workers or someone that has a history of drugs or anything like that would give a negative connotation to a person and put them in the light, cops don't take it as seriously. And we want them to. There's no reason they shouldn't. So I see. And it was also during COVID. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So over COVID, yeah, there's the height of COVID. There were a lot of things going on, and they weren't taking it as seriously, I believe. So after we get this series done, yeah, go ahead. When we get the series done, we're gonna put it out there even more to all my friends in the channels, so that people can hear this story. All right, go ahead.
When Cassie told you that she called the police and that her sister was missing, and the officer, whoever she spoke to, said she hasn't been missing long enough for us to consider her a missing person. In the state of Florida, an adult that goes missing, there is not a 48-hour or a 72-hour waiting period. That's only for children, and teenagers, because they run away and then they come home. That's why they have that. But when they're an adult, there is no time constraint on filing a missing persons report. They just chose not to do it because of who she was. And I'm hearing for the first time, Lauren had an assault charge on her?
Yeah, isn't that funny that you're hearing that for the first time? I'm wondering what that's about. I wonder if Gabby filed that against her.
I knew nothing about that. And, here's the thing. What I would like to know is, I would love to hear the 911 call to the Cape Coral Police Department when they first came to Four Freedoms Park and she jumped back in the water. I would like to know who the person was that made that phone call.
Right.
I would like to hear the voice, at least, because I don't know. Who was it that called?
I wonder if somebody could get that. Let me play this a little more.
Was it Gabby or Victor,
or was it just some person? Yeah, because who would think of that? I don't know if that place is someone that you would
hanging out and talking to these people. She wouldn't be hanging out and talking with these people that she didn't know, and just walk up to them. It can be
requested. I just don't know.
Especially if she was paranoid, right? And somebody was after her. Why would you walk up to strangers and start talking to them? So who called? None of it adds up.
It doesn't. None of it adds up. I mean, people don't go they don't disappear. No. They don't go fill out a job application and then try to get a job and then disappear. And then
people in Florida go missing because there's over 400 cases of missing people in that area down there.
No, they go missing.
That have never been
solved. They don't disappear. Yeah, well.
Yeah, they don't know. They do.
Yeah. All right, listen to this a little more.
They do. Yeah.
I hear you. All right. Get past this music.
Mental Health Act are deemed a threat to themselves or others. Name commonly used in Florida to refer to the Florida Mental Health Act of 1971.
Baker Act.
The Baker Act is a Florida law, and it allows for temporary institutionalization of individuals who are deemed a threat to themselves or others, or are incapable of caring for themselves in order to provide emergency mental health services. This is Dr. Joseph Bax, a board-certified interventional pain management physician for over 10 years. He's practiced in New York as well as Naples, Florida, which is very close to the Cape Coral and Fort Myers area. We'll hear more from Dr. Bax later as well, but he was able to provide a good explanation of what patients usually go through if this should occur. It's usually done against a patient's or a person's will because they don't think that they need treatment or they're resistant to treatment. So usually it's a loved one or a family member calling on their loved one or family member's behalf, and then they get the authorities involved or doctors or other law enforcement professionals to help provide some mental health evaluation and treatment for people who need it desperately. Other states call it a 5150 hold, so you might be familiar with that term if you're outside of Florida. It requires a police officer and EMT to escort the person to a psychiatric hospital and mandate them to a 72-hour observation. There, a person is tested for drugs, given a physical and mental examination, and then a determination of next steps is made. In Lauren's case, she actually stayed beyond that 72-hour hold.
which is interesting, and for you all to think that it's not not a little crazy that she went 30 years of her life, didn't have schizophrenia or bipolar or anything like that, and then all of a sudden gets Baker acting
Right.
twice,
Yeah.
and then
Not right.
disappears, which people don't
Yeah.
disappear. And you didn't even know about her assault, which I wonder. Carrie said it may be a EMT that
No.
was trying to grab her. No,
I know
okay,
I know where the assault charge came in now. I know where it comes from, but I'm pretty sure the assault charge was dropped, and it was from a guy that worked
right,
in one of the convenience stores, at either a 7-Eleven or whatever. And
right,
supposedly, my daughter went in there, walked behind the counter, took over $500 worth of scratch-off tickets. And the guy went to get him. She fought with the guy and walked out the door.
okay, all right.
And
So
I asked her about that. I'm like, kid, did you do this? Because she's telling me she talked to me about this. She goes, Dad, I
right,
don't remember doing anything like that. I would never do that. I work. Why would I do that? I said,
right.
where are
Why
the
would I do?
scratch-off tickets? She goes, I don't know, because they're not here. I never brought any scratch-off tickets at home. So what the hell was that all about?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things going on, and everybody that's here, thank you. I want to say thank you. I appreciate you for your time and listening and hearing the story, and understand that that could be any one of your daughters, sons, cousins, uncles, people that you know. They just don't. People nowadays don't have a heart, and what they care about is money. What they care about is what they're going to get out of it, and what they care about are all the wrong things. So thank you for being here. We're here today to care about the right things. And
And you know what? And here's another thing that was really strange.
yeah, so many
Because
questions.
I think that was bullshit too. Because I actually called up the it was like, I'm pretty sure it was a Circle K, if I remember right. It was a Circle K or the 7-Eleven. I forget which one, but it was one of those two, I believe. And I spoke with the guy, and I offered to pay him right then and there over the phone. I'll give you my card, whatever it takes, for the tickets if my daughter took them. Just drop the
Right,
charges, because there's something going on, and I'm not sure what it is, but she's not like this. There's something not
right,
in. And he said he didn't have a problem with that. I said, "Will you drop the charges?" He says, "Yeah, I will, but I don't know if the police will at this point."
right,
I said, "Well, I'll talk to the police after that, or I'll get her a lawyer, and let them
right,
know whatever." But he accepted to do that. And then the next time I spoke to him, he said he would have to talk with his manager. He said no. And then when I was down there, one of the first questions one of the detectives asked me, do you think your daughter's on the lam because she has a felony warrant out for her arrest? And
so
he asked
that's what you
me,
think it was.
and
That's
then
what you
he
think.
asked me,
Right.
did you help her? You know, to
Yeah, there's a
get it.
lot
I'm
of
like, are
things that
you
happen.
kidding me? Are you
How
kidding
old
me?
was her? How old was her daughter or your granddaughter at this time?
At this time, Michaela
Yeah.
was. I'm trying to think. I think Michaela's 9, 8, 7. She's about 5 years old.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
looked
she just
about
turned. She just.
5
Yeah,
years
she's
old.
5. She just turned 9. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it does. Blah 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 says Micah Miller comes to mind for me too, in a way that she was being gaslit. Everything happened at one time. It didn't sound like something that she would do having a 4-year-old and then not
No,
even knowing. I mean, there's a
no.
lot about this, and that's why we're unrolling this story the way we are. Complicit did a fantastic job of filling in the blanks.
There is so many twists and turns. But if you look
I,
in this short little period of time, all
yep,
of this
that's
crap that my daughter was going through and then poof gone,
yep,
to me, that tells you everything. Because prior to this, she was living there for, I don't know, she never had any problems like this. She never had any,
right.
with anything. And all of a sudden,
No,
within a month or a 2-month period, all of this
yeah,
stuff is going
everything.
on, and she's gone. And it's all of this now. She could have killed herself all over this. Nope, that's bullshit. She'd have come out of a psych ward and go put an application in if she's going to kill
No,
herself.
exactly. She's not going to do that. She's not, and she's not going to have
She
her
would
her
have called
phone.
me and told me that she wanted to get out of there finally.
And she did call you. She called you and sent you pictures of
All
her
the time.
the day
You know,
before.
I will always have a lot of guilt because I didn't get there in time. If I would have left
Well,
sooner, but
yeah.
because of COVID is
You
the
would,
reason I didn't, and I
yeah,
would have
you
been
couldn't
stuck in a room somewhere for 2 weeks that I
for
couldn't
2
leave.
weeks.
And
Right.
what was I going to do there for 2 weeks in a room
No,
that
yeah,
I can't, you know?
there would have been nothing for you to do.
It
All right,
wa-
let's
it-
go a
it's
little
like
bit more.
it was like the circumstances were just against everything, you know. Just
And you know what? You can't beat yourself up at all for that. But I'm glad you're here with us because this is a therapy session for all of us. Trust me. I have a daughter, I have a son, and if any of this happened, and it could happen to any one of us, and if it did, I would want your support and everybody else.
I wouldn't wish
So
this
let's
on my
listen.
worst enemy, Jay.
And neither do I. That's why we're
Nope,
here
I
with you,
wouldn't
and I
wish
want
this
to.
on my worst enemy.
I think the more we talk about it and the more we get it out there, the better it's going to be. And it can be opened back up. And it's not closed, so I can't say open back up, but they can absolutely look back into it. So let's listen some more, folks. We're like a little over halfway through.
So they did Baker Act her from June 1st until June 8th, which is actually longer than like a normal 72-hour hold. But that's because Lauren was also harming herself while she was in there. She was not like cutting herself or anything, but she had hit her head off of the floor. So they actually had to take her to the hospital. And then when she was released from the hospital, they took her back to the mental facility. And then she had stood up on like a table or a chair and fell and hit her head again. So they had to take her to another hospital. And then she came back. And then they gave her like antipsychotic drugs. I'm not really sure what they're called. And at that point, she had like started to get out of this psychosis. And at that point, they said that she was diagnosed with brief psychotic disorder.
When she was Baker acted, I was her proxy. And I spoke to the psychiatrists over at Park Royal. I spoke to them. And my first thought was like, is she schizophrenic? No, they said she's too old for that. That would have showed up in her teens and early 20s. Too old, definitely not. Drugs, no, we did a drug screen on her. There was really no drugs in her system, but that was 3 days later, so something could have been out of her system by then. What was it? Well, she had just had an abortion, so it could be like a postpartum type thing, some type of a postpartum chemical imbalance.
The medical staff at the Park Royal Hospital in nearby Fort Myers determined that the chemical imbalance that caused her temporary psychosis was as a result of the abortion procedure she had had on May 22nd.
Wow. She came out of the psychosis. They weaned her off of like the antipsychotic medicine when she was in there. And then she was released on June 8th.
Paul spoke to Lauren after she was released, and she sounded completely normal to him. Aunt Sue also spoke with Lauren after she was released.
She just had told me that she felt good when she came out. She didn't want to take her own life. She was very positive during that phone call.
Lauren did explain to Aunt Sue why she was behaving so strangely, why she jumped in the water on June 1st, and why she continued to harm herself while in the mental facility.
She said that she was hearing voices. She said that the voices were telling her that the world was going to implode unless she did kill herself. But she said, I don't want to do that. But in order to save the world, that's what I had to do. And she said, I know it doesn't make sense. Clearly, it doesn't make sense. But at the time, it did.
Jeffrey had been telling the family about Lauren's auditory hallucinations, about her paranoia, and it seemed like his assessment had been accurate. For the record, this was the first time Lauren had ever been Baker acted, and the first time her erratic behavior of late had gone this far. The psychiatric facility had declared Lauren mentally stable enough to return home. And even though she had snapped out of it, Lauren was still released with a prescription in hand for an antipsychotic medication.
I said to Lauren, please make sure that you drop off your medication to be filled, because I knew what medication it was. I said, it works very well and it works quickly. I said, and people have very good results with it, because I managed a pharmacy up in New York for the better part of 20 years of my life. She said, no, I'm going to, because I don't want to go through that again.
Lauren had dropped off that prescription at the pharmacy. The issue was, well, still is, it was never picked up. According to Aunt Sue, Gabby was supposed to pick up Lauren's prescription for her. And it seemed...
Yeah, it doesn't sound like he was going to do anything for her. So, we're going to go a little bit more, folks. And do you know what prescription that they gave her by chance?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
How
Jay.
long?
If
how long after?
What?
How long after this did she go missing? Couple months, couple weeks.
Right after the next Baker Act. That was June, July, the next month. But here's the thing. If she did this and tried to hurt herself, in the psych ward, right? And then they try to take her to the hospital. The
Right.
hospital should have drawn blood on her and did a drug screen, or a tox screen, or something, on her when she came in. And why
Right.
wasn't that done? Why wasn't that done?
Yeah, I think this whole case, like so many steps of this, there's an injustice to so many steps that you can't go back on
I'm
now.
going to tell you something which I really haven't spoken much about. I got 2 phone
Right.
calls, and one was from an administrator at Park Royal, and I'm not going to ever say their name, but he
Right.
told me straight up, her case was completely mishandled. I have a major lawsuit against them, not just for releasing her, but the way things were done with her. That wasn't right. And he's been having a lot of problems with a lot of different people that are being brought in there. And a lot of it doesn't
Right.
make sense, and he doesn't know why this is going on.
No, I mean, there's like 15 steps, things today that I just learned that don't make sense and they weren't handled right. So
This
I
is an
mean, you can't
administrator
go.
talking to me. And then I had a nurse call me when I was there, when I first got there in Florida, and I thought that's where she was again. And she told me it was that she heard that Lauren went missing and that she never should have been released out into an Uber because nobody came and picked her up. They just called up an Uber, the hospital, and stuck her in an Uber. That's against the law. You can't do
Yeah.
that. She goes,
Yeah, there's so many
something
things
not
you
right.
can't.
There's something not right. Another one says to me, there's something not right. What's going on here? She said, and I don't like it. And please don't ever use my name because I'm afraid. And everybody's afraid. Everybody that Lauren spoke to or texted to before I
Right.
got there and that spoke to me while I was there was scared to death.
Right.
Everybody
Yeah,
was.
well, I mean, something was going on in that time frame is what I'm going to say, because we can't go back and fix all the mistakes, but something happened between, June and July or whatever the 4-week, 5-week period was. And it doesn't sound like it was a natural occurrence of any sort. And when I say natural, it doesn't sound like it was like a mental break on her part. It does sound like somebody was scaring her on purpose or giving her something. I don't know. I mean,
Can I
it's
tell
either
you
that.
something? I
Yeah,
had a girl.
please.
I had a girl that Lauren worked with, and
Right.
as I was leaving, came out the back door, of the facility, not like the side door, everybody would leave, the back door,
Right.
And she said, "You're Lauren's dad?" I said, "Yeah." And I was leaving. I was going to get into my car. And she said to me, "I need to talk to you, but I can't talk to you here. And you cannot tell the police I'm talking to you or anybody else because I have a kid and I'm scared for my life." I said, "Okay, you tell me what I got to do and where whatever." So this girl knew a lot.
Right.
And I went and spoke to her, and she started talking to me about Lauren and these people. And but I'm not going to mention any names. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
And scared to literally trembling while she's talking to me. Please don't
Call
tell the
dropped out.
cops. Don't tell the cops
Go
nothing.
ahead.
Blah 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 blah. I was like, okay.
Right.
So next thing I know, the next day I was supposed to go meet her again,
Right.
after work, and she called me up. She says to me, exact words, "What the fuck?" She's yelling at me. I was like, "What? Who is this?" And I realized who it was. She goes, "You told the cops that I was talking to you?" I said, "No, I didn't tell the cops anything. They came to my house with my kid and where my mother lives, and now the neighbors seen, everybody around seen. Now they're gonna think that I'm a fucking rat. And you know what? She left the state after that.
Yeah, that sounds like a whole. I mean, I don't know what Gabby
She
was
left the
into.
state.
Do
and
you know
clammed
if
up.
Gabby using as well? So they were together like 4 years, right?
I
Lauren
don't know
was
anything
with.
about Gabby. All I know is this: Victor, the reason my ex knew him was because he was her drug dealer.
Right.
That's how she met him.
Okay. Okay.
And
So
Gabby,
that's
I'm sure. You know what? I shouldn't assume anything. I don't know if Gabby dealt drugs. I don't know what his deal was at all.
But
I didn't know the man.
she used when she was with him, right? I mean, you said she was clean like a year or something
Yeah,
before.
she used it. Yeah, I think when they, a year and a half prior to
Right.
her losing her daughter. Yeah, obviously
Okay.
she was using. Yeah, and he obviously knew about it.
Or did it with her or provided it or something.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
I don't see. I don't have any answers to any of those questions.
and yeah, no, we don't. And I
Don't
think
know.
as we go, we're gonna find out more as we progress into this. I mean, you didn't even know she had
There's only
warrant.
two people that have those answers, and that's Lauren and him.
Right, and that's a strong statement to say. I'm gonna play the end of this, and then we're gonna wrap it up because I don't want to make it too long where people don't want to listen to it that come back around. But we still have 5 more episodes to go, so we're gonna wrap. We're gonna play a few more minutes, and then we'll wrap it up, folks. I appreciate your time, all the time that you're here. You're donating to us to get this story out there. And once it's complete, I'm going to send it over to Oblivious Benson, Duty Ron, and all those folks, and they'll gladly share it. So,
June 19th, and Cassie assured her she would help her get set up with unemployment. We know she was chatting with someone that evening through an app called Talk You. According to Cassie, Detective Jones told her the last message was sent the evening of Thursday, June 18th, and the message read, "You guys coming?" According to our sources, Detective Jones does know who the recipient of this message is, but is unable to share this information at this time. And no one has come forward publicly about being the recipient. And we allegedly know that Lauren made it home safely to her apartment that night because she was in bed on the morning of Friday, June 19th, when Gabby left for work and said he kissed her goodbye.
We don't know that. We don't know.
Given the circumstances leading up to June 19th, Lauren's family remains unsettled and finds it hard to believe that everything was just a coincidence.
I don't believe in all these coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe
I don't either.
that these 2 times that she was Baker acted out of the clear blue and then you go missing 2 weeks later is a coincidence. That's just something that's never happened your entire life, and then now all of a sudden that happens. That just doesn't make sense to me. And there's no evidence of why it even happened. Why wasn't he at work? I don't know. Why did he work that day? It was in the middle of the week. It was like a Tuesday or something like that, and he called me. He should have been at work. She never had these episodes. She never had any Baker Act. She never had any mental health issues like that. Nothing like that. Ever, 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 ever.
Aunt Sue asked Victor if he could recall anything out of the ordinary that stood out to him on June 19th.
Of course not.
And there was one thing.
Gabby had said to Victor, driving home from work that night, that she went missing. I didn't hear from Lauren all day, just out of the clear blue sky. Said that to Victor. And again, that was not normal for Gabby to say something like that.
But then again, not much had
What
been
to
normal
Victor?
in these days leading up to June 19th.
What did he say to Victor? I don't understand what that meant.
I don't.
What did he
This
say
has
to
like.
Victor?
Hold on, I'll go back.
I didn't hear what she said that he said to Victor. I have no idea.
I don't even know if he said you didn't. I don't think you even knew half of this at the end. You were surprised by 2 things this episode.
Yeah.
So let's see.
No evidence of why it even happened. Why wasn't he at work? I don't know. Why did he work that day? It was in the middle of the week. It was like a Tuesday or something like that, and he called me. He should have been at work. She never had these episodes. She never had any Baker Act. She never had any mental health issues like that. Nothing like that. Ever, 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 ever.
Aunt Sue asked Victor if he could recall anything out of the ordinary that stood out to him on June 19th. And there was one thing.
Gabby had said to Victor, driving home from work that night, that she went missing. I didn't hear from Lauren all day, just out of the clear blue sky. Said that to Victor. And again, that was not normal for Gabby to say something like that.
Wait.
But
did
then
you
again,
catch that?
not much had been normal.
Okay, did you hear that?
How could he have known she went missing before he got home from work?
Right.
Because he called me when he got home from work telling me that she wasn't there. So how,
Right.
see, how did he couldn't have known prior to that unless he was
And
involved.
that's actually where we leave off on, because they're going to talk about the next episode, which we'll leave for the next
I
episode.
never knew that. That's the first I've ever heard of that.
Exactly.
Holy
And
shit.
that happens a lot of times in missing person cases where somebody, how do they know before, or they get home and they say, oh, they went missing this morning, or they went missing. Like, what do you mean they went missing? What does that mean? Or how do you know? right? I mean, it's a pretty typical thing, and that's why I don't understand why the police didn't look into him more. But they still can. I don't understand, and I guess we'll figure that out as we go. And hello, Sin Server. Now, who was the one that called to the governor? People are asking if you have any information on that. Was
Sweetie
that
was the one that
Sweetie?
sent the. Yeah.
Okay. So, Sweetie, if you're here, if you have any information about the governor and reaching out, I know you reached out. Did they get back to you? Anyway, I mean, we have time to work this out, folks, and we're working it out together. So, sometimes, yeah, I don't see Sweetie now. We've been here for. Sweetie says, "Give me a call."
Didn't you ask her about this on the last episode?
I actually don't think I asked her, but I talked to her the other day, and I didn't even ask her about
I
it.
think
But
I think what she relayed back to me was that
okay,
somebody from the I guess a secretary or somebody, I believe, if I'm correct, got back
okay,
to her from the governor's office and
office.
said, said that, he would, see what he can do or look into. And I think
Okay,
that was
there it
pretty
is.
much the
Yeah.
gist of everything. I could be wrong because I'm
No.
hearing all this other stuff, and I just.
So Sweetie says they gave her a new number, and this is what happened. They gave her a new
Yeah.
case number,
There you go. That's
and
right.
so what happens then is us being diligent, whoever it is, about following up with that. I mean, I've been trying to get a hold of Dr. Thomas, Andrew Thomas, or Thomas Andrew. He has the same first name in the Christopher Greger case, and it's like you just got to keep trucking. You got to fill out paperwork, wait for them to get back. So that's what happened. Sweetie called in. They gave her a new case number, which I don't know what that means. So I guess we'll have to see
Case
as this
number as far as
unfolds.
what goes.
Yeah, I'm not
Police
sure.
go?
So
How is there
since
a new
every
case?
time we talk about the call
What
the
case
governor,
number?
all like call the governor. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Sweetie says give her a call, but we can talk before the next episode. Maybe Sweetie, you can reach back out or find out what are the
Case
next
number, she
steps.
thought. I don't understand what case number. Or
Yeah, I
why would
don't
a
either.
governor have a case number?
I this is my first missing person case that I've handled that is active.
This is the first
So I
time I
don't
think the governor has ever been contacted, as far as I know about this case.
right. Yeah, I mean you have to go to the higher ups if you want anything to be done about anything because the police sound like they just want you out of their hair at this point. Gabby's not answering. Well, do you know what I'm saying?
Gabby did one interview with the news from his car for about 5 minutes. Never went on one search. There was never a rat, nothing, and just went about his life like it was nobody's business and hung out with his girlfriend that he lives with now.
Right,
all
the
he
one
did.
that he stayed with that particular night.
Yeah. He's with the same girl now.
Now, I don't know if they give a case number, change the case number, Stella, but Sweetie says the Senator Scott office said it sounds like a police case. So it's kind of hard to translate. I'll get more information and maybe between now and next week, we can find out what that means. Are they just getting us off their back?
Why would her case number ever change? I never heard of something like that. That doesn't make sense to me. Her case number is her case number. Whether it's 4 years old or 40 years old. That's the case number.
Right.
It doesn't change. You
And
may
I
have
don't
different
know who
detectives on it or different
Right.
personnel, but the case number itself should never change.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what that means either. And I'm
I
not
don't
sure about
either.
contacting Clark, who you want me to contact, because I don't have any information right now. Now we have the cold case information, but I need Paul to help with that because I don't know Lauren's.
I'll make the calls.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't have the information to do that, but
Yeah.
Clark can certainly send it over. You'll
If you
contact the
could
Cold
ask
Case
Sweetie
Foundation.
to just send me the phone number to the governor's office or whoever I got to contact or MM Clark.
Yeah, if you have
I don't
an
even know
email.
who the hell is MM Clark?
So has been sending me information about the Cold Case Foundation, and she says she can contact them with your permission. And of course, we give you
Please
permission.
do.
All help.
Absolutely. Yes. Please.
Yeah, all help.
Yeah.
is absolutely is all
Anybody that has
welcome.
any ideas or anything that they think that would help, please feel free to do whatever it is you want to do. If you need to send me a consent, just text me a message, or send me an email, and I'll just say yes, I, agreed to and consent to whatever
Yeah.
it is you want to do.
And we will need more information. A crime to remember. I understand what Clark is saying. I just need Paul's help in being able to contact the Cold Case Foundation with the information they're going to want. I don't even have the case number, so
How do I never talked with anybody from a Cold Case Foundation.
yes.
Where are they?
So
Where are they located? Are they in Florida, or is this a national thing? I don't know what
it
is.
sounds. I think it's a national thing, and so Clark, if you can contact them, and then you can reach out to me with any information that you need, because I don't have a case number for this. I'm sure Paul can send me all that information, but if you want to get that started, I'll absolutely jump in and help with whatever and fill in the blanks. Paul and I are in contact a couple times a week most of the time, and I could just text him, I could email him, whatever. So we definitely can do that. But again, I don't have any case files or anything like that. I'm bringing the podcast back to life with the information I have. We can certainly do that. That's why we're here. So thank you. Sin Services, can I make a website to post stuff?
What? Here's another thing. If
Absolutely.
if somebody needs my consent to do or submit something, they could always email me like with a DocuSign, and I can just do a DocuSign and email it right back, because that's legally binding, a DocuSign.
Okay. All right. And Clark, you emailed me twice. You can absolutely do whatever you want. I have probably 500 emails sitting there that attach themselves to each other. So if you sent it to me twice, or if you're talking about Paul, we absolutely both are here giving consent right now.
If you have her contact information, Jay, you can give her mine also.
Okay. All right.
And this way, I can do whatever I need to do with phone calls or whatever I got to do.
Okay. Yeah. So Clark, I'll go ahead and I absolutely do.
Yeah.
No, it will, because I don't know. Clark, we've talked quite a few times, and I don't remember me saying that I wouldn't let you contact Chris from you go ahead. I must have missed that. So I'll go ahead and cross information.
Can you ask Clark one thing? Does she live in Florida, or is she from Cape Coral or Fort Myers?
You are not from there, right? Where are you from? I talked to Sweetie. So tell me, okay. I have a few people messaging me. Where are you from?
There's a reason I'm asking.
Tell me on there. No, you're good. I'm there's a reason. Says international, the cold case, and it's huge, and that's what we want to do. So you did email me about it. Again, I've been in the thick of things. I'm gonna send that over to Paul, and I'll copy you on it and him, and we can get this going.
The reason I was asking is because I don't want people having to use their name.
In Arizona.
Okay,
right.
Well, wherever. I don't want people having to use their names when they talk to a police or talk to people, because if that ever gets out to the wrong people, then that could put them in danger. And I don't, they know, everybody knows who I am, so I don't have a problem talking to anybody, but I don't want other people, getting themselves, to a point where, they step on the wrong feet, God forbid, and not even realizing it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you have the most amount of information that you could possibly have. So what I'm doing right now, I have Clark. I just looked at the email. It says facts about Chris that explain, and it talks about different things in this email. And I do have a few, but I hadn't even checked that yet. So I guess you're giving me information on Chris. I will forward that to Paul, and then we can do it that way, because he has the most amount of information, and he's right. It's P. Dumolo, right? PDUM.
What's P. Dumolo?
Your email. Yeah.
No.
Yes, your email.
It's my last.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It is.
Give him this one. PSD.
Uh-huh.
616123
Uh-huh.
at
At
Gmail.
Gmail?
Yep.
Okay.
So it was
I'm actually
616123 at Gmail.
and I'm sending a few of them your way, and I'll also copy Sweetie on there. Those are the two people that are really active on this and wanting to. So I'm forwarding this to you, and then I'll copy MM. So you guys will all be on this thread, and I'm on the thread too. But I don't have any information to fill out. So here we go. I just sent it. Sarah, thank you so much for the 5 memberships. Everybody has all the information. Clark, I just sent it to Paul with 2 of his emails on there. And then when I can find Sweetie's email, I'll forward that. And you guys can all be in touch with each other. And you can copy me on the emails. But remember, I work full time, have 2 kids, and run a show every day. So filling out paperwork is not the easiest thing for me to do when I don't have the information. So thank you. But I could get the word out. All right. I wish I had time to be a private detective Wednesday. And if there was 12 more hours in the day, right? All right. So everybody else, I think I connected everybody. I think I did everything that I could today. We're at 2 hours. And dogs. Yeah. 3 dogs now. And I have to wake my daughter up. She came home and fell asleep on the couch after her first day of school. So on that note, Paul,
It was the first day of school
I sent you. It was, and it was supposed to be that happy first day of school pictures. She wasn't happy to go to school today. She didn't want to go to school.
I hated school.
Yeah, it was summertime. It's still summertime. She's like, Mom, why do I have to get up and go to school? It's Thursday. So
You're in California. It's summertime all year round down there, basically.
Yeah, that's true. But it's only August 8th. It's August 8th. We should have the rest of the summer, right? So
well, you get the rest of August, then September, everything changes. Then
that's
by October, November, you get your rainy season for winter. Right?
No, yeah, exactly. Well, September and October, it gets a little bit cold. You got to put a hoodie on or whatever.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to go back to school.
Your winters are rain.
Oh, this last year it was. That's why my roof fell in, folks. If people don't remember, my roof fell in and it's still not fixed. So that's where we are. But yeah, you're not stepping on anybody's toes. I sent you the information. I sent your information to Paul, and I even copied you on it, so you have everything that you need. So we appreciate you.
You can give that email to anybody else that wants it for, if they need me to, call somebody or whatever. Because I'd rather them use their names if they don't have to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if something bigger is going on too.
A lot of times, they're going to ask who
I'm going to put this.
Your name, and they're going to want, and
I know.
They'll trace it right back to your phone.
And you know what's funny? They say it's anonymous. They say it's anonymous, but it really isn't. I've tried to call anonymous before.
There's nothing that's anonymous.
I put his.
That's just.
No, I know. Trust me. I've tried to do anonymous, and they don't let you. They say, "Oh, well, we need to know who it is," and
exactly.
We had someone on our block that came, and it looked like they had a gun, and we had never seen them, and we rolled up and we called, and we're like, "Well, we want to be anonymous." No, they knew exactly who it was that called. You know why? Because there's no anonymous, folks.
You want to know what? As soon as you make a phone call to any government facility, they have your number and they have all of your information right from there. And if they don't, they can get it with just a click of a button. They
start looking.
They can find out everything about you, where you live, everything, just from your phone number.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a
and they go back and look at you.
I don't even know if anybody's got landlines anymore. Do they?
Some people actually do. I think the ones that are worried about like storm season, they do because Comcast tries to push it on you. Comcast is like, hey, let me give you some internet with a landline for free. But there's no anonymous, folks. They say that, and it's that's not real. So let's work together, and we can work behind the scenes. By this time next Thursday, let's see what we can do together. I will be on the thread, and I'll do whatever I can to keep you guys hooked up and get the information out there. Now, filling out paperwork for me, again, that's a tough one, but I don't have anything. But you guys are great. I appreciate you, Paul. Let's talk soon, and we'll be back.
I appreciate
If you
everybody. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we all love you, and we all support you.
You all very, very much. Thank you.
And we'll be back at this next Thursday, and we will do this until this thing is over and we've hit every single episode. And then we'll obviously filling out paperwork and doing stuff. We're going to get communication. And then when the whole entire series drops and I put it out to my friends that are going to also put it out, it will make it even more, it'll make it bigger and open back up. And that's what I'm here for. So I love you guys all. Paul, be safe, and I will see you next Thursday if you're available.
Yep. I'm always available. If I have to drive, sometimes I have to. I prefer to pull over and sit down on my iPad, but sometimes I just can't do that.
Well, it's all good. We love you, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, y'all. Have a good night.
Guys. Thank you very much.
All right.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. Guilty of crime in the dark. If you enjoyed today's video, then hit the like button, share it on social media, and subscribe for updates.
If you want to support the channel, then join the membership where you get exclusive access to a variety of different content.
Check out the different tiers to find out which one is most suitable for you.
Do you want to stay up with who's guilty of crime? Then join Jay Scott with case coverage and open panel discussions by following along on other social media platforms.
Are you guilty?
And if you want to contribute to the channel, then you can do so on Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal.
Guilty of crime. Because if you show up on my channel, you just might be guilty of crime.